learn from your mistakes. We've all heard this phrase. You may or may not live by this rule. If you don't, you totally should, although it is a lot easier said than done. Everyone makes mistakes in their lives, and some of them are a lot harder to overcome than others, whether it be an addiction such as alcoholism or drugs. Or maybe you've said or done something hurtful to a person you love, and part of being a good person is learning from those mistakes. Now, a phrase that I rarely hear people toss around is learn from others' mistakes. In a way, it's just as valuable, if not more, than learning from your own mistakes. Imagine going to a party and watching someone throw up. Are you going to laugh it off and keep drinking, or learn from their mistakes and keep in mind how much you drink for the rest of the night? However, what about the people who don't socialize very often? Introverts such as myself who learn from mistakes through a small group of people and don't go out super often. This right here is the point of this video. Not only can you learn from people's mistakes online, such as stories or videos of someone's mistake, but the best way, in my opinion, is to learn from characters' mistakes. Well-written characters who go through joy, rejection, depression, and a whole range of emotions who all commonly make a mistake that they could have avoided. A mistake the viewer can avoid through watching them. Now, a character may resonate with me a lot more than you because we have different problems in our lives, which makes finding the right film for you all the more enjoyable. Even if we don't always go through what the characters are going through, everyone could still learn valuable lessons that may help them in the future, whether it be for themselves or for others. The first point I'd like to make examines how audiences learn what not to do by watching a character's mistake, therefore being able to avoid mistakes completely. I'll be using the example of Jordan Belfort within The Wolf of Wall Street.
And I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about this.
Now, people have different perspectives on the films they watch. Some people may watch Wolf of Wall Street and want to follow in the footsteps of Jordan Belfort, a successful and charismatic man who is constantly surrounded by hot girls and infinite money. However, the film does a great job of what not to do if you ever get your hands on the stuff he finds, which for someone like myself teaches me to never try drugs, avoid working in corrupt corporations, and to never prioritize your job as much as he does. Now, my view isn't the correct view. If you guys watched the film and wanted to live that same life, great. That's your choice. I'm certainly not going to stop you. That's part of what's great about films. Now, this next example is a more interesting topic, as these characters don't necessarily make any mistakes. However, the viewer learns a lot about the negative things that can happen if they go down a certain route. Audiences gain a perspective on what it's like to be the other guy. Take the film Elvis, released in 2022. Becoming a singer certainly isn't a mistake. To a lot of people, it's a dream career. However, this film has opened my eyes, and I'm sure a lot of others, on what it's like to be that famous. Not gonna lie to you, on the surface, it looks like he's living a prestigious life. He gets bitches, he's rich as fuck, and he's super talented. What more could you want, really? However, this film shows us the pressure to perform at a certain standard, plus the lack of time he spends with his family, both due to his profession, results in a deteriorating mental health that leads him down a path of drugs and alcohol. This is of course just from one perspective. Now imagine how much you would know about people if you watched movies from the perspective of a basketball coach, a respected commander, or even something as simple as a mother. I respect the role of a salesman a lot more after watching the film Air. And I never would have thought that if I had never read stories or watched films, simply due to a lack of information. Further emphasizing how people learn more about not only themselves but others by watching films, even if they may not realize it. And the film becomes a lot more powerful if you end up relating to these characters who you initially thought were completely different from you. However, let's be honest, you can't always avoid mistakes. You're inevitably going to fuck up and either purposely or accidentally find guidance on how to learn from them. This second example shows us what to do once you've already made a mistake, which is arguably more important than avoiding them altogether due to the difficulty in finding guidance for a lot of people. To emphasize this point, we're going to look at one of my favorite films I've watched this year, Schindler's List. Oskar Schindler used his money on himself despite the ongoing war, and as the film and war progresses, he grows and starts to spend money towards the helpless. Now, 99% of us aren't in a position to help 500 people with our own money. So how are we able to learn from Schindler's mistakes? He is a man with a lot of sins. He has developed a lot of guilt as a result of that. He develops self-value at the end of the film by saving a lot of people, and we as an audience learn from him. Yes, his contributions are for the people he saved, but he's also doing it for himself in order to make up for his selfishness earlier in the war, and continues to feel selfish even after saving 500 people due to his immense amount of guilt. Even if we don't currently feel like we've done some bad shit, you might eventually do something that you feel really bad about. And so some people may reflect on characters from the past such as Oskar Schindler to get back on track. Nathan Algren within The Last Samurai goes through a similar process. He makes a crucial mistake by killing Tucker's husband. However, this movie teaches us several valuable lessons by showcasing Algren's commitment to repressing his sins. Now, just because it worked for Nathan doesn't mean it'll work for you. Similar story is seen within Vinland Saga and Land of Mine. Both contain protagonists who have killed or mistreated people and are on a path to make up for their mistakes. The most interesting part is that all three of these stories teach us different ways of handling the same situation, showing audiences that there are several ways to approach the same problem. Because of this, I believe watching more movies, or should I say well-written movies, can provide you with more information on characters that can therefore translate into your own way of living life. Now, I'm going to bring up something very important now, which is the credibility of these messages. Is there a 100% chance that donating money to helpless people will make me recognized by the public as a good person? No, that's the nature of life. Sometimes you're just never good enough. However, one aspect of these movies that are currently being portrayed on screen is that they're all based on true stories. It's understandable if a viewer has his doubts about Cinderella, as, after all, it's a made-up story. However, that hasn't stopped that film from giving people hope during a time of despair. For me personally, knowing that a film is based on a true story gives me hope that I should follow the characters in those stories. However, it certainly won't work straight away. Nathan Algren took months to finally earn the trust of the Totsuma clan, whereas Cinderella's life changed after one day, which is very unlikely to happen. But by being self-aware that it'll take more work than that film along with countless other stories can also have a positive impact on you. And if the message of a film that you've learned ends up not working, then maybe you need different advice, as long as you're trying to change for the better. Now, great character writing can also become ingrained in your brain by a great scene, or more importantly, a great quote. Quotes that a lot of people live by.
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
There are so many examples I can give. If you've seen my Steins Gate video, you know that the character of Okabe Rintaro has helped me guide through a breakup. Whiplash teaches us that greatness comes at a cost. Ironclaw states that sometimes your unhappiness doesn't come from yourself, but from your environment and who you surround yourself with. Tony Stark in that first film converts from a total asshole, with little regard of what his weapons have caused to the world, to the heroic man we know him as today, because he witnessed firsthand the terrors that his weaponry has caused, which we as an audience are also witnessing. Movies widen our scope of the world, and good character writing teaches us what to do and what not to do based on the actions they take. Over the last year or so, I've made this realization that I actually prefer characters over story, and that is why, despite telling people all the time that I love movies, I actually prefer longer term media such as shows, anime, and even well-written video game campaigns. We spend a lot of time with these characters that slowly develop over a period of episodes and seasons. Characters who, for me personally, have become role models. And I've made this to hopefully inspire those of you to take note of character development and to implement their positive lessons into your lives. Alright, small life update, but I finished semester 2 at uni this year, so I've got a little more time for the channel now. And I've managed to halve my hours at work, so please slap me or something if I don't consistently upload every week. Hope you guys enjoyed this video as always, and I'll see you guys next week with a fun video idea. See ya!